everybody, it's Plav from BowEcho at youtube.com/3plav3, welcoming you to episode 4 of Halo 5 Genie, the series in which I reveal 3 random wishes I have for Halo 5 each and every episode. Last episode, my wishes involved Halo 5's campaign style, default sprint, and sound effects, so be sure to check it out at some point if any of that sounds interesting to you. So getting started with this episode now. Wish number 1 has to do with a new approach to ordnance drops, which was introduced to us in Halo 4. The way it is in Halo 4 now, once you generate enough points for a drop, 3 randomized options consisting of power weapons, grenades, and boosts are given, and you just have to select which one and it will appear at your feet. A huge complaint heard in Halo 4 is how ordnance drops flood maps with power weapons. Also, I remember on several occasions, most often on the map Adrift, it would seem like every player on the other team had an overshield at the same time. A big part of Halo has long been knowing, predicting, and controlling power weapon spawns and working to control focal points of a map based on those spawn locations. Halo 4 changes this aspect as not only are there now waypoints that appear whenever a power weapon or overshield spawns, but because of ordnance drops, people are able to get power weapons delivered right to their feet without any risk and without the other team noticing. Personally, I was not a big fan of ordnance drops, as throughout my time playing Halo 4, I found I enjoyed the gameplay in playlists that didn't have ordnance drops far more than in playlists that did. So in Halo 5, I like to see the ability to call in power weapons and boosts to your feet completely removed, and all power weapons and boosts being set on map spawns, just like they were originally designed to be. While thinking of a way to keep the concept of an ordnance drop in the game, I tried to think of ways to utilize the concept to also tackle another controversial aspect of the game, and that aspect is armor abilities. To put it simply, armor abilities have been controversial since their introduction in Halo Reach, just because of the fact that many people think that by having armor abilities, Halo is no longer Halo, or they just think it ruins the classic Halo gameplay. However, I definitely believe that they'll be in Halo 5 and I'm totally okay with that, but instead of having them stapled to your loadout and on you 24/7, I've come up with the idea of having armor abilities take the place of ordnance drops. Since I think Sprint will return in a default form, Sprint should serve as a player's only 24/7 armor ability. Any other such abilities should be kinda earned throughout the game, I feel. So how I saw this happening is that a player's points will go towards being able to use their loadout's selected armor abilities. So instead of seeing an ordnance drop meter on your screen, you'll see something in the way of like a armor ability meter. When you reach a certain amount, your ability will activate. Instead of being able to use ability infinitely, the armor abilities will have a total usage meter. For example, a jetpack would have a fixed amount of fuel that could be used before it dies out. If you die before you use up all of your ability, I think it should carry over to your next life and so on until you use it all up. Throughout the life of an ability, you still have to recharge between each and every time you use it, just like it is now. But because of the limited overall meter of the ability, players would have the power to control and manage the overall life of their ability based on how much they decide to use them. The armor abilities could also be tiered, so after you lose your first ability, you work to unlock a second stronger ability which could require more points to achieve. So with this idea, in their loadout, players would be able to select a first tier ability, second tier ability, and so on. And a player won't necessarily be able to unlock the next armor ability after using the previous one throughout the whole process. They might lose it, say, halfway and have to earn points without the armor ability the rest of the way to their next tier. 343 would have to come up with some brand new and creative armor abilities in order to create a variety of options to be able to have different levels of abilities. So that'd definitely be hard work considering they'd have a lot of new things to balance, but hey, I see it as sort of a compromise that would hopefully fix a past problem, keep 2 old concepts, while at the same time bring new and exciting armor abilities to next-gen Halo. Moving on to wish number 2, which is a much shorter and straightforward wish: custom controller layouts. Since Halo has been around so long, fans have seen a large array of controller layouts. I think it just makes sense to include the ability to create your own variation. People could recreate their favorite layout from an older game as best they can, and they could also make small changes along the way to develop a new favorite layout. Pretty much why we didn't see this in Halo 4 is because the programming involved with having custom layouts would have required quite a bit of time. And as we already know, Halo 4 was kinda rushed, so custom controller layouts was probably just left on the back burner along with some other things. But hopefully, Halo 5 isn't rushed and 343 gets around and commits themselves to including custom controller layouts in their game. It's a simple thing and I know a lot of people are for it, so I understand how it could be a lot of time consuming work, but no doubt it's definitely something 343 can do and would see an appreciative response from many. Cruising on to wish number 3 now, our final wish for this episode is for Halo 5's matchmaking to include some type of Spartan vs Elites game mode. I was a huge fan of Invasion in Halo Reach. I love the overall feeling of playing with my Spartan teammates against a team of Elites and vice versa. It's such a basic thing about Halo that most people know. oh, Spartans and Elites, they fight each other. And now, with the Storm Covenant and all, it just makes so much sense for a Spartans vs Elites game type to be in Halo 5. In Halo 4, you fight other Spartans again and again, and over each and every game you play. There's nothing else you're shooting at pretty much except other Spartans. And I guess that can get boring, but in Reach, I would just go pop over in the Invasion playlist, and I seem to always have a blast. I love the concept of different tiers in Invasion, and overall I find it's just such a unique game type that I would absolutely love to see return in Halo 5. I had hoped for Dominion to be a good Invasion alternative, and well, let's just say it came nowhere close. But really, all I'm wishing for is a game type that has something special to it, so Spartans vs Elites, and involves some sort of attack and defend aspect, and when done right, that can be a really fun game type and become a quick fan favorite. And with that, we've arrived at our community question, and in this video I'm actually going to give you guys 3 questions, each of which correspond to one of the 3 wishes. You may just pick to answer one, or on the other hand you might answer all 3, which would be awesome. So number 1, if you had to create a brand new armor ability for Halo 5, what would it be? Number 2, what is your all-time favorite Halo controller layout? So from which game, and which layout specifically? And number 3, what would your ideal Spartan vs Elites game type look like in Halo 5? So leave your responses to any of those questions down in the comments. I always look forward to reading all the awesome things you guys have to say. And now I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Halo 5 Genie, and if you did, be sure to check out previous episodes 1, 2, and 3 if you haven't already. This has been Plow from BowEcho, and BowEcho's out.